Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that, though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. Is you serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men. Or should I say, male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the house.
Really good, though. I'm doing that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
What's going on, people? Yeah. Listen, this is another great episode of the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast, hashtag TFR Podcast Live.
Right.
We are your hosts.
Right.
I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society on this podcast called TFR Podcast Live, the film review. And do we have a jam-packed show for you today? Yeah. And of course, you know, we are simulcasting, of course, on Crazy D Film Dude for the first hour on Instagram. Make sure that you follow and friend there. Also, we're on Periscope at TFR Podcast Live. That's for the full 2 hours. And of course, FB on the Film Review Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society page. Also on Crazy Dion on Facebook and on YouTube, people. We are the Film Review Live channel. We are on now. We are on live. We are streaming. And like I said, do we have full show for you today, always brought to you by Back in Cleveland Movie. It is one of the most hilarious, drama-filled films written, produced, directed, edited, narrated, and starred in by yours truly, Crazy D, featuring MCs and talent from Cleveland, Ohio. You can see it on Lordlandfilms.com. That's Lordlandfilms.com. You go right over there and you click and you can watch it on demand, or you can order the copy and have it and own it. Right? So, you know, go right over to Lordlandfilms.com after the show. After the show, and make sure you watch Back in Cleveland Movie. Right? So, people, the show this Sunday, you know we're on right now, is called How Lovecraft Country on HBO. Is like Biden-Harris for the U.S. or for us, right? So we're going to be going into that. But first of all, as usual, we have to start out with, how was your week?
Yes, well, we are definitely sending prayers out to everyone that's dealing with the tropical hurricanes, Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Marcos, right? You know, and then happy birthday to Kobe. Today is Kobe's birthday. And happy belated birthday to Marcus Garvey.
That's right. He would have been well, Kobe would have been 42. Right. So, people, you know, this is always, you know, how was your week and all that, you know, and American black politics. So we got some blurbs that we found that we thought this would be pretty apropos for this week, because, you know, the Democrats just came from off of their convention, their virtual convention. How did you think that went? I didn't think that it went too well. It looked like they didn't have the skilled players there. You know, kind of like Obama didn't have the skilled players for the digital exchange over the internet. They went with a company in Canada, and everything was a disaster for the rollout of the Affordable Care Act, right? For the exchanges. So, you know, I don't think that they really at all had anything prepared for this, because the talent wasn't there. They had a lot of stars that are in front of the camera, but they didn't have the talent and the production behind the camera to make it stand out. Did you see, what's the guy's name that's getting all the acclaim from Pose? What's his name? Did you see the ending? Did you see the song, Something Happened in Here?
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's that sound? Porter. It's going down. Did you see that? Who edited that? Right? And there were some things that came up. There were some memes that came up on the internet, but I just decided I wasn't going to use it because, you know, it's rather shocking, I would say, the meme. So anyway.
First let's say that Viacom is now working with Nick Cannon. Again. So it looks like they will be renewing the Wild 'N Out relationship.
Well, that's good, because he did apologize to the Jewish community and said that I didn't mean to hurt you. I never meant to cause you any pain.
Oh, and then Meg Thee Stallion, right? She came out and she told everyone what actually happened that night. And, you know, she let everyone know that she was shot in the foot by Tory Lane.
See, Megan Thee Stallion is a G. She was at like a G, but those people that come from other countries, that's why it's very important that when people come in and mask themselves in ADOS.
Oh, yes, because Tory Lane is from Canada.
That's right, Foundational Black American. When they come in and put on the skin and their invasion of the black body snatchers, they don't understand it. Real G's don't shoot their women. It's not about a American black man anything. It's about black men in America don't shoot their women for no reason, shoot them in the foot. This isn't.
That was crazy. When that happened, Tara, I'm like, that's the craziest thing. Like, I have never heard of no crazy shit like that before.
You saw the meme with Eddie Murphy's movie, Harlem Nights.
No,
right?
I didn't.
When he shot Della Reese's pinky
toe.
Oh,
okay.
Like, okay. Nick, you've been watching too many movies. You've been watching too many movies. You don't do that. Real G.
Really, he should have
But she was a G.
Apologized to her a long time ago.
She was a G, but his people were going on there trying to talk, crap, right? And she like, why would you talk? Why would you say anything when we're trying to keep it off the internet and let it die? And you're not doing anything to let it die, right? So, she was a G about it.
She was. And then there's going to be a versus, right? You talking about that Monica versus Brandy.
That's right.
So that's going to be good because both ladies can sing.
That's right. And Monica is in the news because she's going to be trying to help with C Murder's release along with Kim Kardashian, right? Yes. So, there's a lot of news out there. But let's look at the first meme right now. We've talked about this. Now I put this, I didn't write this, but I have said this in so many words on the show over the last few weeks. Okay. I don't support Joe Biden because I spent the 90s watching my friends either dying or being sent to prison from Biden's crime bill. Okay. This was a nightmare. So asking me to vote for Biden is like asking a Holocaust survivor to vote for Hitler. Now, you can't tell black people, American blacks, how to feel, and that it's not like a Holocaust, because the Holocaust took place. The Holocaust has been taking place since 1619, right? So you can't really tell a black person like, yo, man. American black, man, that doesn't seem like that's quite right, No. So that was an interesting meme, and so I decided to put that up. Now here's another one right here, right, people. 2000. I know, but you have to vote against Bush. Maybe next election we can have real change. So that was 2000. Then 2004, same thing. 2008, same thing. 2012, same thing. 2016, same thing. 2020, I know. Right. But you have to vote against Trump. Right. Maybe next election we can have change. Right. How long before we get the change that we can truly believe in? Right? So that was an interesting meme, and I brought that up. Now, speaking of what we're going through and having to use a voice from the past that is ever present, because what he says stands true even to today. Now, people, you know who this is. El Malik El Shabazz, or Malcolm X, as he was called when he said these words. Right. The white liberals differ from the white conservatives in one way. Okay. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. Now, You know, there's a difference between somebody who sponsors you and a benefactor. You know, a benefactor, they want something from you. They're going to get some butt. They're going to get something. That's a benefactor, right? So when Malcolm X was saying this, when he said benefactor and not sponsor, like a sponsor is like using hands off. A benefactor wants something from you.
In exchange.
That's right. They want something from you. They want some butt. They want something. They want some sex. They want something in exchange for you.
Right.
To string you along and really give you nothing, and if you just so happen to make it,
right,
because you were being taken care of, then you just so happen to make it, but you usually make it off your own grit. They're really not handing you anything, right?
Right.
Just ask Tim Reed and all those guys about having benefactors. Now, this was very interesting, people. This is very interesting. This was an interesting meme, and I brought it up, right? Because all of this goes along with what we're talking about tonight, right?
Okay.
Robert Smith. Do you remember Robert Smith? He gave the commencement speech, right? And he forgave all of the students' debt. He said he was going to do it, right? So look, listen. A billionaire who vowed to pay off student loans for an entire college graduating class is said to be facing a criminal tax probe. A billionaire who vowed to pay off student loans for an entire college graduating class is said to be facing a criminal tax probe.
Oh, so they was angry that he paid off all of those black college students.
You know,
college debt.
I'll just say that
so they're going after him.
That is very.
Plus, he's talking about reparations. He mentioned reparations too. So are they going after him because of that?
I just say that was very. It's very interesting.
Very interesting, but
it's interesting.
Not surprising.
It just so happens that it happened. It must have been just happenstance, right?
Nothing.
It must have just been happenstance.
No.
Hey, Tanya M. Congress said, "I'm here, y'all."
Hey, Tanya.
What's up to let's see, Dana Jackson is also watching. Listen.
Hey, Dana.
Okay, so look, people, watching this right here. Check this out. Saw this. This was very interesting. Joel posted this, right? And I thought it was very interesting. Black people, this simple chart will give you a basic understanding on how the system of white supremacy works, right? Hashtag Philando Castile, right?
Okay.
So you have to go on and find this on the internet because it's kind of small. And I'm not going to be able to read it, but it's a full flow chart, and it starts and it breaks down everything about that. So type in, when you Google it, type in flow chart, hashtag, a flow chart on white supremacy, hashtag Philando Castile, and this will lay it out for you. It's beautifully laid out, and you will see how every aspect of the system runs, from the media to the law enforcement to the judicial system, right, all the way down, and how it all connects, what the relevant connections are. It's an interesting chart. I wanted to bring it to your attention so you could be aware and have that in your knowledge. Now this right here is just to break the monotony a little bit. This was an interesting meme, and I thought it was heartfelt and it was touching, so we bring it up now. Ladies and gentlemen, who is that? That is Eddie Murphy with his younger self, right? Is that something? That's beautifully done. Whoever did the graphics on that was a beautifully done graphic. It was worth looking at and giving some praise and kudos to that, as Eddie Murphy is able to look back on his life and say, look what I've done. We happened to watch Beverly Hills Cop the other week, and how entertaining was that after years of necessarily not seeing it. Now, here we go, people. This is very important for people to understand. Like, a lot of people say that, oh, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, right? And not so fast and not so necessarily did he free the slaves because he liked Jews. More like a a move to cripple the South because the South was winning the war, right? The South was winning a war for two reasons. One, before they put us in it, they were really winning. You know, but the South had put their slaves into the war. All right, so there were blacks fighting on both sides, kind of like today, I would suppose. Okay. So this is Honest Abe, Abe Lincoln, right? My paramount in this struggle is to save the Union. It is not to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. Abraham Lincoln, 1862. So people, please, like when we're talking about Abe, Abe was a politician. Just like the former president, 44, was a politician, right? So all these memes lead into what we're talking about tonight. So I thought this would be great, right? So this one right here, I thought was a turn of the coin or a turnabout, right? And turnabout is all good and it's fair play, right? So it reads, no vote is a vote for Donald. Fuck out of here with that bullshit.
I saw that one.
Loved it. I thought that was a great one. I thought, you know, I said, hey, I had to put that one up there. Black Robin slapping Batman. Come to your senses, Batman. What's going on with you? I know I've been your sidekick for a while, but you know, come to your senses, my man. What's really good? All right. So look, you know, we are the film review. So of course, on this next meme, we do have some video on this. I'll discuss this for a little bit in American Black Politics memes of the week. You know, so anyway, look, here it is. Rapper Ice Cube calls out Democrats after convention.
Right.
What's in it for the black community? What's in it for American blacks?
I'm glad he said this because I said that afterwards, didn't I?
Yeah, what's in it?
And I said, like, you know, and then, you know, and on these different channels, like on MSNBC and CNN, they were, oh, great job, and oh, great. And I'm just like, and I kept saying to you, but they didn't they didn't give us a policy. They didn't, I mean, they didn't even talk about the George Floyd bill that they were supposed to believe had been trying to push through, and all, you know, all they talked about was him dying, right? And then they talked about, you know, oh, his little girl said this, and I mean, I was highly insulted watching that convention.
I been down saying, my father changed the world.
And yeah, that's what they kept saying, but they didn't come with the policy. Well, why didn't you push that bill for her father? Like, it was just like a bunch of nothing, right?
It was a bunch of nothing.
But afterwards, I had to say to you, is it just me? Or they didn't give us any policy because everybody else is upping it, but they didn't give us anything. So I'm like, am I living in a alternate universe? Because people are like, am I in an alternate universe? Because people are complicit with nothing.
Nothing.
Complicit with nothing.
Tiny Congress says pure uncut BS. That's right. So look, people, look. Rapper Ice Cube calls out Democrats after convention. What's in it for the black community, right? Rapper Ice Cube criticized members of the Democratic Party. Right. Democrat, it's Democrat, not Democratic. Democrat Party following this past week's convention, saying that despite all the fanfare, no speakers talked about a contract with American blacks. His is Black America, mine is American Black.
Right.
ADOS or Foundational Black Americans.
Right. One more thing though. I said to you after, I said they didn't say anything about trade. Right? I said that to you. And I'm like, well, that's very important because tons and tons of jobs went overseas.
That's right.
Including, like, we're talking about like customer service, tech, just also in clothes in industry as well, like people who make clothes, people who make everything, these phones, just like everything. I'm like, they didn't talk about I mean, it's just a lot of stuff that they didn't cover.
Yeah, 213-943-3358, 213-943-3358. We're getting ready to get into this, people.
Right.
How Lovecraft Country on HBO is like what a Biden and Harris presidency will be for us, the U.S., right? So, you know, we have footage of Ice Cube talking. So we're going to take a listen to this right now.
Okay.
And then we're going to have something to say because, you know, we are the film review.
So, over the last 4 days, the Democratic National Party held a convention. A lot of people, you know what I mean, getting up there and talking, and, you know, everybody really, you know, eating it up, you know, throwing their hands in the air like they just don't care damn near. So it's you know, what I didn't hear is what's in it for us? What's in it for the black community besides the same old thing we've been getting from these parties?
Yeah, what's
in it for us, for real?
For us.
You know,
Oh, you know what's in it for us.
What's that?
I didn't hear anybody mention
No. It's
a contract with Black America.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record.
I'm trying to tell you, the universe.
There are too many examples to cite.
The Democrat Party is letting you know that what's in it for you black people is Kamala. That's all you need. You don't need any policy. You don't need jobs or anything else to do with
Kamala.
You don't need any policy. Clyburn said, look, we're behind Biden. All we need is Biden. All we need is Kamala. That's all your people need. Your job is to push us. Your job is to push the Democratic Party. You were born to do nothing but push the Democratic Party. Right?
Okay, so let me get this right. So we're here, and our only job is to push the Democrat Party. Right?
That's it.
Our only job is to push the Democrat
You're not supposed
Party.
to get anything in return.
And then we will have someone like this. Now, Tulsi Gabbard said this when Kamala, Kamala was running.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked...
Now, this is true, right? Because this is what happened. Right? This is what happened right here.
What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, definitely Snoop.
Okay, so she laughed about, you know, smoking weed, but what did Tulsi Gabbard, this is her record now. You can go research this. We're going to play this all the way through.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
What were you listening to when you were
high? All right, baby. So what was you listening to when you were getting high, Kamala? Eric Wilson says exactly what's in it for black people. What legislation, policies, or executive orders are they going to push through? Well, we're going to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about the exact legislation that they're going to be pushing through. Because you know this is what Kamala said when she was running for president.
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
You know
I'm
what,
not
right?
going to
You
sit
really
here and
want
say
to
I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
Right.
You know,
you
she
did?
looked like she wanted to say, hell no. That's what she wanted to say.
Right. Everyone is telling you, people, to watch out for this. Everyone is telling people to watch out. They are warning you about this. They are warning you about Biden. They are warning you about Kamala.
When people show you who they are,
believe them. Everyone, people just on the internet just dropping stuff like this.
Kamala Harris. Look this heifer up. So check, one of the most powerful positions in any city is the DA or district attorney, because they decide which cases get prosecuted and which don't. One of the most powerful positions in any state is attorney general. Kamala Harris was both. 2015 in California, a bill was pushed for the attorney general's office to investigate all police shootings. Attorney General Kamala Harris refused. Look it up. Through her career as a district attorney, she refused to prosecute cases of prosecutorial misconduct, meaning prosecutors withholding evidence or prosecutors committing straight perjury to get a conviction. Look it up. In one case, she refused to prosecute a forensics lab technician who was messing off evidence. A judge said no. Thank goodness, and over 600 convictions were overturned. Look it up. But the most telling case is death row inmate Kevin Cooper, who even judges say is innocent. He begged for DNA testing. Kamala refused, but only reversed it when the case went viral, when bed wenches fuck off the black community. Look it up.
Yeah. So look, people, you are being warned about this. You are being warned about this. We told you last week, we talked about Biden in excruciating detail. But we're giving you a quick recap so that you will know what we go on before we go on with the show, because we are going to show you why. If you don't know what Lovecraft Country on HBO is, we're going to be breaking that down for you, but we're going to be showing you the parallelism between what we're getting ready to get into with this ticket right here, right? We're going to show you what we're getting ready to get into. Now, remember, this is what Biden did, right?
Former Vice President Joe Biden seems primed to be at the head of a crowded Democratic 2020 field. But his role as a leading architect in America's crackdown on drugs could be a major liability for his campaign.
I think the problem with Joe Biden isn't that he was a passenger on the drug war train, he was driving it.
In 1988, as chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Biden co-sponsored the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. The bill led to new mandatory minimum sentences for drug offenders and created a sentencing rule that led to stiffer punishments for crack cocaine users than those who used powder cocaine. In 1989, when then-President George H.W. Bush called for $8 billion to help law enforcement in the war against drugs, Biden said it was inadequate and called for stricter punishments for both drug users and dealers.
The president says he wants to wage a war on drugs, but if that's true, what we need is another D-Day, not another Vietnam, not another limited war fought on the cheap and destined for stalemate and human tragedy.
Then in 1994, Biden spearheaded the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, a bill that touched nearly every aspect of law enforcement and is credited for leading to a boom in for-profit prisons and mass incarceration. And while every other candidate in the 2020 Democratic primary supports marijuana legalization or decriminalization, Biden hasn't jumped on the 420 bandwagon yet. His position on marijuana itself hasn't wavered much over the years. In 2010, he said legalization would be a mistake, and he's been relatively mum on the issue since.
Any person today who is a serious candidate for any high elected office, who doesn't really look at marijuana, at least decriminalization, if not legalization, as what is needed in this country as a baseline, if somebody doesn't take that position, it's going to be really hard for them to convince people who who have criminal justice reform as a top issue, that they're a serious candidate.
Ed Chung, who served as a senior policy advisor on criminal justice, policing, and civil rights issues under the Obama-era Justice Department, says Biden can still make the case that his views have evolved along with the country when it comes to drug policy.
And the question is, what policies and what positions is he going to take now as president, and is it going to be a continuation of some of the things that he was championed under the Obama administration?
But Collins says there's not much Biden can do or say that will erase the damage of his former policies.
It's one thing to apologise, right? I think it's very easy to apologise. It's another thing to actually sit down with the communities impacted by the war on drugs, predominantly communities of colour, and ask, you know, should I become president? What can I do to repair the damage? You know, the damage of mass incarceration, the damage of that tough on crime approach.
You see that, people? You see how that is? You see how a whole other group of people are telling you now, we're hitting you with everyone, right? We're showing you everyone, right? It's not just one group of people that we're showing you. We're showing you different types of people. We showed you an Irishman. We showed you a Hispanic Asian, I think, speaking and telling you about it. We show you Tulsi Gabbard. They are telling you about what's getting ready to happen with this ticket, right? What is happening? Everyone is on the same page. This is not a kumbaya moment with her, because she is not. She is not. She is not an American black. She is not. She is not. Again, she is not American black. There is no triumph in her being the VP as a black woman, because she's not American black. So there's no ascendancy from the descendants of 1619. So there is nothing to be proud of, right? And Biden, he's sitting up here talking this, and then what did he say about super predators, right? What did Biden say about super predators? Let's listen to that real quick. Let's get that across. And here we go.
Take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter, or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And
okay,
Madam
people.
President,
So he started talking about super predators. Let me stop this.
He was
51,
right?
He was 51 then,
Because of its
right?
neglect.
He was talking about super predators. Let me stop
Again,
this.
it does not mean because we create.
Let's go back to that. Let's stop that. Let's stop that. Look. He was talking about super predators, right? He was talking about how they were not conditioned to be anything in the community, so they should be taken out and locked up for life. Now, this is after pushing the 3 strikes.
Okay.
And this is now the crime bill. And, that's how Hillary Clinton got into trouble with the black community, because the black community and our American black politic, we did not forget We did not forget Hillary Clinton pushing that, like how hard that she was pushing healthcare, that she was pushing super predators. She was pushing that. Did we forget? Right? So she was pushing that super predators, and that's what got her in trouble, right? Now, meanwhile, Biden is saying that people are not are maladjusted, malfeasant, and that they should be put away. But what happens, people? What happens when it's what happens when it's his son and his son shows some malfeasance? What happens? Let's see what happens. How are they rewarding each other? Here we go.
A multi-million-dollar job in China.
Here we go.
Time to show you some of this morning's headlines. The Wall Street Journal says Vice President Joe Biden was discharged from the Navy Reserve. The Journal says he tested positive for cocaine. CBS News has not confirmed cocaine played a role. Sources tell the Journal Biden failed a drug test last year. Biden worked as a public affairs officer. He was discharged in February. In a statement, Hunter Biden says, quote, "It was the honor of my life to serve in the U.S. Navy, and I deeply regret and am embarrassed that my actions led to my administrative discharge." No comment from the Vice President's office.
The New York Times says...
Can you believe that, people? Right? So can you believe that?
And this is while Obama and Biden was in office.
That's right. They were.
This wasn't years ago.
This wasn't years ago, right? Now, check this out. So after he's discharged, you know, when you do malfeasance, just by what Biden said about those super predators, tens of thousands of them, that first Reagan released the Ready Rock for Iran-Contra, and at the same time, when Bushy 2 was in, they wanted to make sure that they pushed through and made sure that they pushed through the 100-to-1 on the crack cocaine, right? And then he comes back in the 90s and says that. But meanwhile, when his son shows some malfeasance, what happens? This happens. Stay tuned.
At our ABC News investigation this morning into his son Hunter and questions about money he made from foreign business dealings while his father was vice president. Our chief national affairs correspondent Tom Yamas traveled to Ukraine to try to get some answers. And Tom, what did you find?
Dave, good morning to you. This is actually an issue Joe Biden has been dealing with since 2014, but it's come up again because he's now running for president. Republicans, including President Trump, are trying to hammer Biden over this. At issue, was Hunter Biden profiting off his dad's work as vice president, and did Joe Biden allow it? We're talking about millions of dollars in at least 2 countries. Mr. Vice President, Tom Yamas with ABC News. How you doing? Got a quick question for you. It's a question we tried to ask repeatedly. Can we ask you about Ukraine and China? But kept getting blocked. Questions about foreign deals his son Hunter Biden pursued.
My father, Joe Biden.
In countries where Joe Biden was working as America's top diplomat. In 2014, Ukrainians, sick of corruption, revolted. Vice President Joe Biden went to Kiev to help the new government.
You have to fight the cancer of corruption.
But then, something strange happened. Just 3 weeks later, a Ukrainian natural gas company, Burisma, accused of corruption, appoints Hunter Biden, seen here in their promotional videos, to their board of directors, paying his firm more than $1 million a year. Hunter, a lawyer who had just been discharged from the Navy Reserves for testing positive for cocaine.
Mr. Hunter Biden.
He had served on other boards.
Is this why they wasn't talking international policy and trade?
Yeah, because they can't touch this, right? They can't touch this stuff, right? Now, so people, let's get started, because you know we've done it, and so we brought you the recap of last week real quickly, and now we're getting ready to move forward, right? So the next thing that we need to move forward with is this right here, which is let me pull it up real quick. No, that's not it. Where is it? Where am I looking for? Is this what I'm looking for? Oh, this is what I'm looking for. Here we go, people. Number 10 on the blurbs, interesting blurbs this week. What's the difference between absentee and universal mail-in voting? So they left the universal off of that, so that's misleading. What's the difference between absentee ballot and universal mail-in ballots, right?
Okay.
So let's break this down.
Okay.
Right? Voters will be mailed a ballot regardless of whether they are in town or absent from their polling precinct on election day. That means this is universal balloting, right? And why universal balloting is a problem is you're going to mail it out to people who may not even be living at those addresses anymore, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to get the ballot and they may open it and then vote and send it in. That's fraud. Or someone who passed away and they were living with their child could possibly take it, open it, vote
twice.
And vote twice, vote 3 times because there's a couple of different people in the family and they send it in. All of this is fraudulent. It's potential fraud, right? And the Democrats are pushing this. Now, when I found out that a certain mob boss helped JFK get elected by having certain people who have been dead vote. You know, this has been going on for a while, right? But of course, that had to happen in a way and his assassination had to happen in a way because if Johnson hadn't become president, we wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now in the way that we're talking to you now. There wouldn't be 64, 65, 68 because Kennedy would have found a way to extend it out and say the next guy, the next Democrat will be able to do it. Kind of like what we've been talking about.
What we're going through today.
Exactly. But just so happens, what's up to Stuart Elsie watching, right?
Stu and Algie.
Right. So look. So that is universal mail-in ballots, right? We're going to show you the difference, right? Again, voters will be mailed a ballot regardless of whether they're in town or absent from their polling precinct on election day. Absentee ballots, the voter requests a ballot outside of polling precincts, right? The person may have a disability or he or she is in the armed forces or the person may be out of town and wants to cast the vote absentee. You see, so they are calling for it. So it's one ballot and it's being mailed out to them because they have already informed the election board that they will be an absentee, right? That they will be an absentee. And so that's what they have shown, right? Universal ballots go out no matter if the person requests a ballot or not. The excuse is COVID-19 for proponents of universal balloting, right? The opponents of it say fraud is most definitely going to happen because the voter rolls whose eligibility or whose past have not been cleaned up, so many ballots will be delivered to dead persons, right? And that opens up the door. And that opens it up for people to cast votes for dead people, representing as if they're that person, while voting with their own ballot, which is fraud, right? The media is lying to you. Before I brought this, I thought this in my head. The media is lying to you about a lot of things, right? And they are lying to you about this, right? The media lies when they say universal ballots out to people who don't request a ballot and absentee ballots where an individual requests a ballot to vote outside of the polling precinct are the same. Right. That is not the same.
Right.
That is not the same. So when you're seeing this argument on the news, we have to clear it up for you because the news media is lying to you, because the news media started saying just this week after the Democratic convention over the weekend that Biden's involvement in the 88 crime bill, in the drug abuse bill, and the 1994 crime bill had nothing to do with mass incarceration. They're also the same people who told you when you were watching MSNBC and CNN that this was the best convention and that Biden's speech was so inspirational and that Michelle Obama's speech was so great and that the presentation was the greatest they ever seen. Matter of fact, your girl, I'm being facetious, your girl, Jo, she used to be called Joanne Reed when she was representing her immigrant status, but now she's Joy Reid. Your girl Joy Reid was like, Jill Biden was so good. She was so folksy. She reminded me like she was my mother.
Oh yeah, she did say that. And her mother, Joanne Reed's mother, passed away, correct?
She's dead. And you would say that this woman reminds you of your mom.
I think her mother was an educator, so maybe that's what she's talking about.
There's no excuse for it because it was bland and dry. The speech was bland and dry. Now remember, people, we are simulcasting on Periscope, on Facebook, on the Film Review Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast page, also on Crazy Dion on Facebook, and on YouTube, the Film Review Live channel, and we're also on Crazy D Film Do for the first hour on Instagram, right? So make sure that you chime in on us there. Number to call in to talk about anything that we're talking about, 213-943-3358, 213-943-3358, 213-943-3358. Now look, people, let me go back here. Now look, we already been through Biden's crime bill, 1988, which was called the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. 1994, Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act. That was 1994. The media lies now and says Biden's laws did not cause mass incarceration. Right? Okay. So, do not close your ears at this point, okay? Do not close your ears. I know how people like to close their ears when they hear this certain name, but we have to get through this, right? Yeah. We have to get through this. You have to know what the truth is because the media is not kicking it to you correctly, right? Okay, so look. Back in 2018, the First Step Act was proposed, right? And it was getting bipartisan support. People were like, yes, we like this, and will it pass? Will it pass, or will it take 6 months or 10 years or whatever to pass? Will Trump already be out of office by the time that it passes through? That's what they were saying. Well, people, this is the introduction to it, and this is what was going on, right? Now, this is 2018. Now, Trump is doing things as a businessman, because remember, America is a corporation, and Trump is a corporate guy. So here we go. He's doing things as politicians. Didn't you see the movie 300? You know how the politicians did. Nothing has changed. Here we go.
President Trump showcasing what would be the most sweeping prison reform agreement in decades, and if it passes, one of the biggest bipartisan laws of his administration.
Americans from across the political spectrum can unite around prison reform legislation that will reduce crime while giving our fellow citizens a chance at redemption.
The deal would loosen restrictions on certain federal mandatory minimum sentences, give judges more discretion to sentence people who've committed minor crimes in the past, and extend a 2010 law that could help federal drug offenders serving disproportionately long sentences.
We're just putting a lot of people in jail for a long period of time who I think need to be back out on the streets working.
The rollout comes exactly a week after Jeff Sessions was fired as Attorney General. He opposed many of these changes, and so do a handful of conservative lawmakers.
Color me doubtful.
The White House points to support from law enforcement groups like the Fraternal Order of Police. Dozens of celebrities also back the plan, including Kanye West. The president's billing this agreement as bipartisan, but no Democrats appeared at tonight's event. As for timing, Republican leaders suggest it may not come up for a vote until early next year.
No Democrats appeared at the event, right? I mean, and they were questioning if it would get passed, right? Because no Democrats appeared at the event, right? But 2019 rolls around, and this right here happens, people. Check this out right here.
Thousands of former prisoners who thought they would spend Christmas behind bars are free thanks to the help of the First Step Act. President Trump signed the legislation into law last December. The act increases the number of good conduct time credits an inmate can earn per year. It also built on the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 signed by former President Obama, which reduced penalties for crack cocaine offenses. The U.S. Sentencing Commission says those changes can help more than 140,000 people in prison. We spoke with two former inmates who say they're still adjusting to their newfound freedom. Before President Trump signed the First Step Act into law, did you expect to spend the rest of your life behind bars?
I did, but I didn't because I never gave up fighting.
48-year-old Brian Johnson says it feels good to be back in his old neighborhood in Baltimore. Nearly 20 years ago, Johnson was convicted of money laundering and drug distribution. He was sentenced to life in federal prison. But when President Trump signed off on the First Step Act last December, it meant Johnson and thousands of others were eligible for an earlier release or a reduced sentence. On July 9th, Johnson took his first step out of prison. Who did you first lay eyes on when you got out of prison?
The first person that I seen was my oldest daughter.
How old is she?
31.
You've missed most of her upbringing.
20 years of it. So when she pulled out, it was like an unbelievable feeling until I could hug her.
He says he makes about
Okay,
$500 per week working full-time for a delivery company.
So look, that is Generation X. He's 48 years old. He's 48 years old when that story was done in 2019, right? Mm-hmm. He's 49 probably this year. I'm 49. Now, you know, I never got involved in drugs or doing anything like that. But just like that said, I saw many of my friends die or be incarcerated on something because they knew that Generation X was the generation. We were experimented on. If we've talked about that before, if it was busing, if whatever it was, we were experimented on. The media lies by not covering Trump's First Step Act, right? How many people, remember when he released like 22?
Yeah.
I mean, he's released, they go into the story and tell you how many people he's released. You have to go research this. We're not going to give you everything. You have to go research this. Mm-hmm. He has gotten so many people released from prison, from those long sentences. Who created those long sentences? Who created those laws, 100 to 1? Who pushed those through? One under a Republican administration, one under a Democrat administration. Joe Biden. Who kept people in prison when she could have let them out in San Francisco?
Yeah,
Kamala Harris did that. Do you see what's happening here? Right? Do you see what's happening here, or do we have to? We're going to keep going because obviously you haven't been paying attention to what's really happening, right? Now, in 2010, Obama did reduce sentences, but you know who was advising him? Biden. It was old Biden, and Biden was advising along with other advisors. Biden wouldn't want to see his signature laws be totally dismantled. So he said, why don't you just reduce just a little bit? But I wouldn't want them to come home. Now, you know, Trump, when you go through and you listen to the rest of the story, there's certain people in the Justice Department that are trying to fight and trying to put that guy back into jail, trying to find any loophole to put him back in. So there's schisms in the government. It's just like certain parts of the FBI is one way, there's certain parts of the FBI are the other way. One part of the FBI was helping during the Civil Rights Movement. The part of the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover was trying to destroy people during the rise of American blacks to finally be free, to enjoy full citizenship as a citizen, right? So there's different schisms. Now, before 2010, 22 years of devastation to the population of the American black community with 100-to-1 sentencing. That's Joe Biden. Read it again. Before 2010, 22 years of devastation to the population of the American black community with 100-to-1 sentencing. Joe Biden. Before 2018, 30 years of sons and daughters without their fathers free. Joe Biden. Say it again. Before 2018, 30 years of sons and daughters without their fathers free. Joe Biden brought those laws, right? They gave the 3 strikes and you're out, right? Life. Trump proposes it gets bipartisan support and the people are coming home, right? But the media is not covering the people that are coming home. You know who they cover? When they did the smoke screen, when he released a large number of American blacks from out of prison, when they were released, they started talking about how he released one of his people.
Yeah, they didn't mention all.
They didn't mention that. They didn't show anything in the media. The media is lying to you. And it's not about party, it's about policies.
Right.
It's about policies. Even if it wasn't meant to help, if it indirectly helped, if he was saying close the border off from the immigrants, from the illegal immigrants, and you're able to have a higher wage and to able to keep your job, it is helping American blacks. Right.
Yeah. It's becoming like exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm still seeing there's a balance, right? So there are people who bring information to the table, but then I'm just irritated by the people who are like mentally the Walking Dead mentally. Like their eyes are open, they're walking, they're breathing, but it's just like nothing is clicking upstairs. Like, I don't know. And then I don't understand, especially when you know the financial state and the what condition that some of our people are in, but they're like, it's like, how can you be critical of gangs, right? Mm-hmm. The people who throw their nose up to, they have something to say about the Crips. They have something to say about the Bloods, as well as other gangs, right?
Right.
But yet they're like repping the donkey, right? They're repping the Democrats, like no matter what, even to their what's the word? Like to the detriment. Even to their detriment, they are like repping the Democrat Party, like no matter what.
And then I
No
see
matter what.
I see the memes, and I saw the one with the AKA saying ski wee, and this is her sister. She is not from the lineage of 16.
They was just upset that she disrespected them when she was running.
That was the older ones. These are the younger ones.
Yeah, but still, aren't they all supposed to be
They're supposed to be-
AKs?
they're supposed to
and
be
the
together.
older ones they were just upset when she was running for presidency. The way she disrespected the elder AKs.
Okay, excuse me.
I
It's
mean,
not
just-
Eric. It's not Eric Wilson. It's Eric Williams. He says exactly. He also says, "What's in it for Black people? What legislation, policies, or executive orders are they going to push through?" Kamala doubled down on not doing anything for us, especially in that interview. She also evaded the reparations question completely on The View, right? Joe Biden falsely stirred up white fear using that old, I don't know what the Mahonian report BS, super predator rhetoric based upon falsified, fraudulent research, right? So look, we're sitting up here and we're watching this. There is no victory for American blacks with either Obama. Like I voted for Obama twice. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know his background. We saw his wife. We saw his children. His wife was based in ADOS. He wasn't, come to find out, he was Kenyan and Kansan. Kenyan and Tanzanian. Kenyan, African, and Tanzanian mixed.
He did a great job, like fooling everybody, because even when he acted as if, you know, he even had the minister.
Yeah.
Saying vote for him. I mean, he used a lot of black people. Like he really climbed to the top of that ladder.
Then he turned.
Just right. So I mean, but what's the saying? Fool me
once, shame on me.
Right.
Fool me twice, shame on you.
Right. So
right. So look. So Kamala is, when she was on the Breakfast Club, she was African American and using all the stereotypes. I'll take offense to that.
Yeah.
Right? But now that she's running for vice president, she can trot out her Caucasian husband. She can say that she's Jamaican, that her parents were immigrants that came from Jamaica and India and met here in the United States, were so-called big in the civil rights. But somehow they split apart. He went back to Jamaica to the ruling class.
Right.
She went up to Canada with the 2 kids.
Right.
And then Kamala comes back. She goes to college and she immerses herself and puts on the skin of African American and says ski-wee and AKA and learns all the hubbub and the talk that people talked. But her mind was not that of... coming from 1619, her mind is of position hopping, of status, of advancing to the highest that she can, and she doesn't care. Kamala's recap.
Well, you know,
go ahead.
Oh no, she did. She had like a really great system or program when in San Francisco, and she was helping like it was a connection between like India and Silicon Valley, right? And she was helping with a program to help a lot of Indian people, you know, or youth, in techno. So they were able to in tech.
Techno is music.
Techno.
I'm sure they were listening
and techno
to.
too.
I'm sure they
were.
were.
But in tech, and so she was helping build that bridge, right, to help them with jobs and.
That's right.
But just, you know, as long as black people know, what did she say again? She's gonna do for black people?
I'm not gonna do just.
Right. We need the sound effect, right?
Right. We're not gonna do just.
Right. So.
Look, people.
So I mean, you know.
Don't you see how I said it? When you go to the doctor, who do you see?
What we experienced twice.
When you're watching on TV and they're talking about COVID-19, what type of doctors do you see? When she says that she veers because she obviously has an angst against her pops and her mom raised her, so she leans to... Indians from India have nothing to do with American blacks. It's a totally different situation. Our projects are nothing like their slums. They come over here and they see the projects and they say, "Oh my God, this is beautiful living." Have you ever
watched the movie Indian Slumdog? It'll give you a feel of
Indian Slumdog Millionaire. Listen to that. Watch that.
Mixed up.
Because there's a couple in there. Watch Mississippi Masala.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, people.
Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire, which is a really, really good film, but it does. The India plays a major character in the film, the backdrop, so you get to see the different areas of India in that film.
So how does this? Stay tuned, because how does this match up to Lovecraft Country? We're coming to it. Look, people, Kamala's recap as top cop in San Francisco. There wasn't a cop she saw that she didn't believe to be innocent, right? She believed them to be innocent, but she treated persons like chattel within the American black community, right? The Democrats block, obstruct Donald Trump. It's just facts, right? Trump talks tough on crime, right? Trump hasn't locked up people in mass, but he does believe in the streets being safe from anarchists, right? The Democrats at their convention said nothing about what was happening in the streets. It's been 87 days, and I guess in Portland, Oregon, that's all peaceful.
I mean,
it's 87 days going and growing.
But it doesn't fit their agenda. They have an agenda. It doesn't fit their
agenda.
Right. It doesn't fit their agenda. Like politics. I mean, it's about politics, and the Democrats. You said don't say Democrats. What are they?
No, the Democrat Party.
The Democrat Party.
Right.
Right. So I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm independent.
Now, we did come from straight
growing up
American black Democrat, Cuyahoga County, Cleveland, Ohio. But you come to a point that when you see your people being put away, no diversion programs being put away by a Democrat named Mason. Remember?
Yes. We saw a lot of Democrat politicians not support the black community.
Coming in and smiling at your face, face during the Labor Day.
Right.
The last parade of the year, Labor Day, just lying to you. Yeah. And there's people who are just going to sync this up. I'm telling you, people, if people don't wake up and see this and quit having fear, we got to play this out. We got to see what this is. You know, Biden once said, they're going to have you back in chains, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Trump won. We ain't in chains yet. So we need to play this out so that the Democrats have to bring something different to the table. They're going to bring some reparations. They're going to have to be the actual party that's really for reparations. HR 40 is going to have some money, some funds
they
attached.
say they'll die before that ever happens. Right.
So Trump signs 4 executive orders to help American citizens. And you probably didn't see this because, when this is happening, unfortunately, like we told you before, you have to watch Fox News because, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but you have to watch it because if you're not watching Fox News, you won't be able to hear what's actually happening.
You have to see both sides.
Because it's a whiteout on CNN and Fox News as far as Donald Trump is concerned. So we decide here at the film review to play it for you, and we chopped it so that you could get the gist of what he's saying real quickly. Because, Donald Trump likes to add in, he's a business person, so he likes to add in between. So we chopped it and got you down to the 4 to let you know what's exactly going on, because he's there for the people, and the Democrats are obstructing. So check this real quick.
Democrats are actively blocking the things that we want. And what we want is good for people. These are things that they're blocking. Support for K-12 schools so they can open. Think of that. Also, direct payments of the $3,400 for a family of 4 plus. Then funding for child care and mental health care. And you need that, especially when you have so much of a lockdown. You need that. Mental health care. Funding for broadband, airports, and agriculture. Rental assistance, and support for community banks and credit unions to help them provide $100 billion in loans to the hardest hit communities, including rural communities and farmers. They don't want anybody to get that. Democrats are obstructing all of it. Therefore, I'm taking executive action. We've had it. And we're going to save American jobs and provide relief to the American workers, and I'll be signing these bills in a very short period of time. First one is I'm providing a payroll tax holiday to Americans earning less than $100,000 per year. In a few moments, I will sign a directive instructing the Treasury Department to allow employers to defer payment of the employee portion of certain payroll taxes from September 1st. And we're actually going to be making that. We just got the word. We're just getting some word from a lot of people. We didn't think we'd have to do this because we thought the Democrats would be reasonable, but they've been not only unreasonable, they've been ridiculous. So we're going to make that August 1st, most likely. It'll be August 1st. We'll let you know the exact date, but we're looking like August 1st. So it'll be August 1st through the end of 2020. This will mean bigger paychecks for working families as we race to produce a vaccine and eradicate the China virus once and for all. If I'm victorious on November 3rd, I plan to forgive these taxes and make permanent cuts to the payroll tax. I'm going to make them all permanent.
Okay, so people, look. If he's victorious, he's going to make cuts to the payroll tax. Now, look. Of course, people are complaining about that, right? But if more money is going to go into your pocket right now for the people who are working, what's wrong with that? During this COVID, what's wrong with it?
Well, you know how that goes. Like, if Biden had said that, it would be okay. Because I told you again, in my opinion, it's like two games, right? So people are just repping. They're repping the red, they're repping the blue, Republicans, so it's just like people aren't listening. Like, it's kind of like, what is it? Bite off the nose to spite the face. And a lot of people are doing that because they're what's best interest for them, their family, and their communities.
They're not looking
totally
at that.
Pushing out the window. They're focusing on this is what we're supposed to do. Look, this is what we're supposed to do as Democrats.
Right.
Because they want to give me an arm. They want to rub shoulders. In their minds, this makes them feel like I'm rubbing shoulders. I'm actually a white liberal.
And we already know what Malcolm X said about the white liberal, right? So let's continue on with this. Let's continue on. Here we go.
Now, Joe Biden and the Democrats may not want that. They don't want that because they're adding $3 trillion in taxes. Second, I'm signing an executive order directing the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HHS, and CDC to make sure renters and homeowners can stay in their homes. So I'm protecting people from eviction. Yet you've been hearing a lot about eviction, and the Democrats don't want to do anything having to do with protecting people from eviction. I said, let's do that separately. That could be a totally separate thing from passing along money so people can live. And they didn't even want to protect people from eviction, so they would get evicted. It's not their fault that this virus came into our country. It's China's fault, and came into the world. By the way, a lot of the people, a lot of the states that were doing the best are having some problems. A lot of the states that we weren't thinking were doing the best are doing very well. You look at some of the countries involved, some of the countries that were really standing out as examples are now exploding. The Department of Housing and Urban Development will also provide financial assistance to struggling renters and homeowners and work with landlords and lenders to keep Americans safely in their homes. So we don't want people being evicted, and the act that I'm signing will solve that problem largely.
Okay, people, so look, let me pause this for a minute.
The third action,
I had an epiphany today watching the news report on the virus. They said now it's like 177,000, we might have to check that, but it's like 100 and something thousand that have died from the virus, right?
Okay.
But they said that over a certain amount of million have contracted the virus in the U.S., right? The only number that's missing from out, you know how they show the map and they show you the hot spots on the map of the United States, who's hot, who's neutral, who's all that. They show you all that, but the one number that they're leaving out is how many people have gotten over it. Out of that million some number, how many people have been cured or have gotten or it has run its process? How many people have actually conquered or gotten over the COVID?
So according to, I looked it up, I Googled it, right? And as of today, 176,000.
176,000 deaths, right?
So
how many
cases?
Yes, how many cases?
5.68 million.
5.68 million, 176,000. And it's 5.6, okay. How many actually survived it? Because it's a lot of, it's what I'm saying is there's a lot of millions, but only 176,000 have died. And that's not a small number for people, condolences to people. We know how that feels.
Family members
we
and
know how that
friends
feels.
to COVID.
But we know how that feels, so condolences always for that, right?
But the media should just give the correct balance, right?
Where's the number of people who got over the coronavirus? Where's that who are beginning to create the herd immunity? They're leaving one number out, which makes them dishonest, which makes them lying to you. All three of the majors, the CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, they are leaving a number out. How many out of those millions have actually been cured or have gotten over the symptoms and are walking around now with so-called antibodies, the plasma, all that? How many are actually cured of it, who are now going to start the herd immunity? They're leaving a number out. That number compared to how many have it, compared to how many have died from it, that's a relatively small number.
Why didn't they talk about during the convention? Like, give me a balance. Give us a balance. Like, if you want us to vote for you, like if Biden and Kamala, if they want us to vote for them, right? So right now, we're dealing with COVID-19. So we just listened to President Trump's platform as far as
he's
COVID.
got two more we're going to play.
Two more, right? So the convention, that would have been the time to give us his platform for COVID-19. Because we know in November, we know the world will still be dealing with fighting COVID-19. But
and
specifically, we're talking about America, and in the fall.
The fall is coming, the winter is coming.
Because he's going to be in office during COVID, why didn't he give us his platform?
Well, he won't be in office till January.
Well, why didn't he give us his platform for? Okay, so if he wins in November, I would expect maybe his people will have some type of plan in the works for.
Well, he said the plan was a mandatory mask a
I mean, I
mandatory
heard
mask.
that, but that was it. So what are you going to do
And he's
for
going to have
Americans financially?
And what else did he say? He said he's going to have the experts. He's going to let the
decide
experts
if they
loose.
want to shut down the country or not. He said that. So that was it. So as far as like, let's say when he's in office in January, then. So why didn't he say, well, if we're still battling COVID and when I'm in office in January, this is what I'm going to do. This is my stimulus package. Other than he's not going to wait. He's going to.
Well, we already know what it is. He said that he's going to make a mandatory mask.
Right.
He's going to leave it to the scientists
to make the decision. If they're going to shut the country down or not.
Shut the country down.
So that's
and wait. While they're shutting the country down, they're also going to be ready to rev it back up so that they can have illegal aliens come in and get the.
Oh, they did say that they're going to give the illegal aliens free health care, right?
Driver's license,
right.
Subsidized housing,
right.
Have the ability to vote.
Okay. So will we have their platform for illegal aliens? That's fine. Again, like we said last week, go to his website. We went to Biden's website. So we know what his platform is, and he talked about his platform for illegal aliens.
Yeah.
Fine. But what is your platform for American blacks? And what is your platform for all Americans, no matter what race, whether you're American black, American Caucasian, American Latinx, American Asian? What is your platform for us for dealing with stimulus when you're in office? Because we know what you're going to do for the illegal immigrants, right? So I mean, I just have like an issue with that.
Illegal alien.
You know what I think though? What I was thinking, what they're banking on, and because based on what I've been seeing online for the people who are like really riding for Kamala and Biden, like even like biting off the nose and spite their face, like they're riding for him, right? Doesn't matter what financial state they're in, they're riding for him, right? So, but what I think that the Democrats are, what they're doing is they know that there is a segment of black people, because if we go back further, they know they're hoping that the segment from the breeding farms.
Oh God.
They're banking that segment.
We haven't even got to
from
them about
the breeding farms where mentally they were able to like control them. You know, the ones who Massa Harry said she's trying to get away. So it's a certain segment that they know that they have their like clutches in.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So they're banking that the ones that they have their clutches in will ride no matter what.
We haven't even got to them yet.
I mean,
we haven't got to them,
I've
but
been
it's true.
I've literally like been trying to figure this out. I'm like, because I know certain situations that some people are in economically. I know some people who are struggling, but they are like riding for them, and I'm like, but why are you? It doesn't benefit you like at all financially. They haven't even come with an agenda, a policy for, let alone your group, for you and your household.
Right.
And I'm like, what is it? What is it? What is it? I'm like, they're banking on, they know it's a certain this group that's riding from them. It has to go that far back. Like, far back. Like, because it's crazy.
All right, people. So check out the rest of that. You know, we gave you the first two, but he did 4 to help the American people. The Democrats were and are obstructing. Right now, they're talking about they came back to do something about the Department of Mail, which you call the U.S. Mail, but they didn't do anything about American people and their needs. But they coming back talking about the thing because they want to get this election. Anyway, people, Who are these women right here, people? Each week we're bringing you something new. Started back in 125. You know, you have to go and you have to research and know American Black historical figures. In this case, historical Black figures, because this first person right here, she is still with us, right? But American Black figures, American Black women that push through. Who is this person? These three right here are pioneers in the fields that they are in, right? One in literature, one in healthcare, and one in the science of outer space. And what would that be? What would that be called? That would be called a person who practices that would be called an astronaut.
You know what? I noticed they kept talking about Ella Baker.
Yeah, they talked about Ella Baker, and we had just talked about Ella Baker. I was like, are they watching?
They watching all the different podcasts.
They're watching all the different podcasts trying to come. So let me bring it a little bit closer, people. So look. Macy Jimerson. Do you know who she is and what her pioneering contribution to the American Black society in America is? Do you know her? Macy Jimerson. May Jimerson, but I'm putting in her middle initial.
Right.
May C. Jimerson. Do you know who she is, people? Do you know what she does? Well, I already told you she's an astronaut, so we did that. But do you know what she did? Right here. Mary Elisa Mahoney. Do you know what she did? What her contribution to American Blacks was? Do you know?
I mean,
to the world. It's to the world, but to us, do you know what that is? Because a lot of people try to run and say, oh, we got to run over to Africa because Africa. No, you don't. First, because if you don't know who these people are, then how could you be running over someplace else talking about that's better? You don't even know the backbone of what makes it move.
When all the pioneers are here.
That's right. Number 3, people. Right over here. This is Zora Neale Hurston. Do you know what Zora Neale Hurston, who she is and what she did? Do you know what they did, why they did, how they did, how it contributed, when it contributed? Do you know these 3 people? Do you know these 3 women? You shouldn't be talking about going anyplace else until you get your American Black foremothers down. Your American Black foremothers down. You have to know, in this case, an American Black figure, or have studied, in these 2 cases, American Black historical figures. Astronaut, nurse, author. I'm giving you a little bit more, but you got to do your homework. Study this. Know who these people are.
Right.
She brought the Black vernacular. Just go research, okay? That's what we're telling you. You need to go research, and you need to know who's who and what's going on, people. Now,
you know what? I think people, I don't know. It's like there's like a huge piece missing. You know what that piece is? It's like people today, not all people. I'm talking about the people who are deaf, dumb, and blind. No, I'm talking about the people who. Mr. King was a civil rights leader.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a politician.
That's right.
He wasn't the president. He wasn't a state rep.
No.
He wasn't a congressman. Right.
Right.
Okay, so I think they're confusing leaders who fought for their people, who fought for a cause, right? They're confusing them with black politicians.
That's right.
It's not the same thing.
Not the same thing at all. No, not at all. That's right. They're confusing them with black politicians.
Right.
Because that poster with Malcolm, Martin, and
President Obama.
is
President Obama
wrong.
shouldn't be on
Shouldn't
the
be
poster.
on there.
He's a politician.
He's a politician, right?
Right.
So, people, as we get close to knowing the topic of the show, as we come down to the last 20 so minutes of the show, which is the topic is, let me find it. Oh, there it is. How Lovecraft Country on HBO is like Biden, Harris for us, right? So look, we're here. Now, my question to everyone is this. Let me find my page here where I'm at here. What are people so happy and so jubilant about with Kamala Harris? Why are they so jubilant and happy? She does not come from the lineage, so she is not black. We have done that for years, and now it has to be a designation and a difference because we need our people who are in that lineage line to rise.
But isn't her hue like she could be called a black American, right? But maybe not a foundational black American or an American descendant of slave, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, so, I mean, there is like a difference, and it's okay.
What are they fantasizing about?
Don Lemon even was trying to break it down.
That was last year. And April Ryan couldn't hear it, right?
Right.
What are you fantasizing about, people who are looking at Kamala?
Right.
The advancement of American blacks, ADOS, Foundational Black Americans, African Americans, coined by Jesse Jackson, is rooted in 1619, slavery, emancipation, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, segregation, the Nadir, MLK, civil rights, and the set-aside stolen from us by those who assumed our identity to profit from the set-asides that were to make us a protected class. Like Biden's plan does for illegal aliens. So they're going to make them a protected class. Illegal aliens, they're not even citizens. I was talking to my buddy who lives out in Chardon, Ohio. He's Caucasian. And he was telling me that a lot of the immigrants who live out there, because the immigrants live out there, they said that their mothers and fathers and grandparents had to jump through hoops. They had to be naturalized. So they are pissed at the Democrats for doing this. Because everyone should have to jump through hoops and do what they had to do. Learn the Pledge of Allegiance, learn certain laws about the United States, what's on the front of the Statue of Liberty, and be able to recite that, pass the test, and then be a naturalized citizen.
Because
people are going to come in and get it for nothing.
Because as an American, and I saw this online too, as an American, if you wanted to move to another country, you would have to go through their immigration process.
That's right. So it's not for free. Now look, people. Harris represents the invasion of the black body snatchers and the dumb, deaf, and blind, or coon class. That's a new term, coon-class, whichever applies. Don't see it or choose not to see it to remain favored boot-licking Negroes to the Dixiecrat Party. They don't see it or they choose not to see it to remain favorite boot-licking Negroes for the Dixiecrat Party. At this point, It's hard to say which coons are worse, the Dixiecrat coons or the Repub coons who promote party loyalty instead of American black loyalty. I don't know which one's worse. The ones who push loyalty to the Dixiecrats are the ones who push loyalty to the Republicans instead of pushing loyalty to American blacks. Why are we now running to India like we did Africa before? We're running to India much like the American Caucasian is. And it seems whatever Zaddy do, we at TFR don't do, but you do. The same ones who want to be loyal to the Democrat Party or loyal to the Republican Party, boot-licking coons to be patted on the head and say thanks. And I remember I commented on a guy's post, and the guy that he was big up in, who was Caucasian, liked it and agreed with me. And the person didn't get it or didn't understand it or whatever, but they didn't get it. And I'm sitting up here like, what? It was like when I saw, but that's another story. That's in hip hop. That's another story. She's running because they know Indians from India's spiritual and cultural beliefs are not good for American blacks, and them Indians being a buffer will keep us at heel. So they are running because they know if you research what the Indians believe, if you research what the Jamaican ruler class believe about people like Buju Banton and real Jamaicans, because there's Africans, there are white people like Charisse Theron who believes that she's South African when she's actually Afro-Cantor because she's not African. African is the name that was placed.
Right.
Anyway.
And then Kamala's father, right? Their people, like he stated, his people they're the slave owners.
That's right. That's right. They're the slave owner. They're slave class. And her mother came from the class of the Indians who looked down on the untouchables. And when you see dark-skinned people, you come with that culture, you come with that belief. And when they look at American blacks, that will allow us to still be at heel.
Right.
Because they are in the hospitals and they believe in you are untouchable and what kind of health care are you gonna get? Yeah. Let's take 404 real quick as we get to Lovecraft. 404, you're on the line. Who we speaking with? 404.
What's going on, man?
What's going on? Who is this? Okay, your phone is breaking up. Who is this?
What's up?
What's up?
I gotta take the earphones off or what?
Well, yeah, go ahead. You can talk. Go ahead. Just turn the sound down.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, what y'all was talking about, man, I wanted to know if y'all had checked out, what's her name, Isabel Wilkerson's new book called Cast.
Cast? You said?
Yeah, C-A-S-T-E. Just like what you're talking about right now, the Indian caste system.
Right.
She has a book called Caste, and it's about black people in America and how America is a racialized caste system. It's really interesting, man. Worth checking out.
We saw her
This
interview.
is the sister that wrote that book a couple years ago, The Warmth of Other Suns.
Okay.
The Great Migration. So I mean, she's solid, man. So definitely check that book out.
Yeah, we saw her interview. So where do you fall on party loyalty?
Well, there should be no such thing as party loyalty. Parties are to be agitated from within and from without to get what you want. But no, you shouldn't have loyalty to any party.
Mm-hmm. So So what are you thinking about this election, November 3rd? Has the Democrat Party shown you anything that makes you want to necessarily vote for them? Have they given you anything that says, hey, you know what, they got the best interests of American blacks at heart and we're going to vote? Or are you going to vote for loyalty?
No, I wouldn't even frame it that way and say it was about loyalty or anything like that. You would be voting for basic neoliberal, middle America, I guess you could say competent government, as opposed to voting for a right-wing fascist who probably can't read. So, I mean, that's what that choice comes down to. But me, myself, I'm way farther to the left than most of America. And because I'm in Georgia, I pretty much vote third party every election. I don't vote for the two parties because it doesn't matter because I'm in Georgia. But if I was in a swing state or something like that, I probably would vote for old Raggedy Joe and Raggedy Kamala.
Okay. Well, I can't vote for the lesser of two evils. You know, like we come from Cuyahoga County originally, straight American black Democrat, but we can no longer vote for the lesser of two evils, and we're not going to vote for Donald Trump unless he hands something. He's got to hand something out, right? One thing that, you know, the media is telling people that Donald Trump is illiterate, he can't read, but he sure is running rings around the Dixiecrat Party, who are supposed to be politicians, right? And the policies that he's coming up.
Hold on, let's talk about something though.
Okay,
let's talk about something when we do that.
Huh? Wait a minute, your phone.
Let's never forget. Let's never forget when Obama came in, centrist that he is, wrote in on all those progressive policies that he wouldn't actually do. That pissed off his constituents who didn't show up in 2010. Republicans take over, and ever since then they've been ruling by what? Voting in lockstep. So similar thing now. Mitch McConnell is probably more of a problem than Trump even is, honestly. But their ability to vote in lockstep, no matter how bad the policy is, yeah, I mean, that's a thing. That's been a powerful thing in American history throughout it. It's called, what they call it, the trails of white, the tides of whiteness, basically.
Okay,
they decided they were going to become this white party. And
I mean, that's cool. That's cool that they.
Generation or so.
I mean, that's cool that they can. That's cool that they can be the white party. But what I'm saying is, some of the policies that Trump is putting down, like keeping the illegal immigrants out, is making it so that black people have jobs. And see, that's the main thing. That's the main. That's the main.
I hear people say that. Let's explore that.
Go ahead.
Are we under the impression that the unemployment rates that black people face generationally are because illegal immigrants come in, and if it wasn't for them, then we would get those jobs? Or are we under a system of white supremacy that has to be fought, and these are kind of the terms? But typically, man, far-right regimes look for some group to point to and say, we don't have your stuff or your money or your resources. It's those people over there. And if you only got rid of those people, things will be better. No,
we're past. No. Wait. Let's go, because we still got to get on Lovecraft here. But what I'm saying is we're past that. We're looking at what policies, even if they're not meant to help American black people, but somehow they do, these are the policies that we're looking at. We know by Joe Biden's website, he said he's going to give them the TEN number. He's going to give them the driver's license. Women now, they're going to give them the driver's license. They're going to give them free health care. They're going to give them subsidized housing. They're going to be able to vote. Hopefully the Democrats are hoping they will vote Democrat. But most times immigrants come in and they see where the power structure is and they vote Republican. Just as Jimmy Carter with the Cubans in the 80s. So we have enough history to understand that. And we're past that. We're in a global system of white supremacy, and they're going to use, just like they use blacks in Manhattan against the Indians, having us be a buffer class between them and the Native Americans at that time, right? So they're going to use the Indian, because Kamala is more Indian than she is Jamaican, which she's not ADOS or FBA or American Black. They're going to use them as a buffer to keep us from demanding what we want. Right now, Trump is keeping them out, which opened up jobs. The stories and the reports are out there. They're not putting it out there. So me as an American, and we have seen it. We have seen it. We have heard it over the phone. Wait, hold it, because I'm in urgency now. So let me get it all out. Then I'll let you talk, right? So we have heard it on the telephone. We have heard it on the phone when you call for assistance, and instead of hearing a Indian or an Asian voice, you hear a black voice. And it's coming from America, customer service. So we have seen this. So his policies, if they are racist towards a certain group of people that is making it better for American blacks. And my question to everyone, and I'm going to ask you this, answer this question for me. What did Trump coming down the escalator in 2016 talking about illegal aliens coming over the border, over the southern border, have to do with American blacks who are citizens of America? Tell me what that had to do, and if it didn't have to do with it, why were we caping for a group of people when they come over here, they're going to try to look down on us? So
yeah, so the thing I want to touch on, first thing, when you talk about employment, it's always important to realize, okay, what kind of jobs are we talking about?
Oh no, wait, hold it, hold it, I'm not gonna let you filibuster here. I asked the question. Now, there's one example in Mississippi. It was a chicken plucking plant. They were paying the Mexicans, the illegals, $2.50. The ICE came in, took them out. Blacks who were in Mississippi who were out of work came in and got $20 an hour to do the same job that the illegal immigrant was doing for $2. That's just one example. So those are good jobs. Factory jobs are always good jobs. That's what made our days, I don't know if you're Generation X or not, but that's what made our lives great every holiday. 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, you name it, Christmas, all the aunts and uncles were together. And so my question to you again, what did Trump coming down the escalator in 2016 talking about illegal immigrants or illegal aliens coming across the border and keeping them out have to do with American blacks who are citizens of the United States of America?
Yeah, so when the white group comes in and they're talking about outright aggressive nature against one group, who becomes more powerful if you get rid of all those immigrants? The white population. They get a bigger voter base. They actually have more sway within the country and actually be able to.
Wait, hold it. Okay, hold it. We gotta go. We got to move through this. We got to move through this because that's old arguments. Because the population, the white population. Wait. No, the old population. No, the white. No. Because you're talking stuff that's not true. Because the white population is dwindling.
Is paying $20 an hour in Mississippi. Like, bruh.
The white.
You want me to speak because I got a different view.
No. That's not my point. And my point is because we're trying to get through the show. My point to you is you got to talk what's modern and now. The white population is dwindling. They need a buffer to keep them somewhat empowered. This is what this is all about. We've talked about that on shows 3 years ago now. We're here now, and we need to talk about what's happening now. Their population is dwindling, and it's cool. They will have a base, but what I'm telling you is letting in those illegal immigrants for the Democrats, which the Republicans are secretly for, but right now we got Trump in there that's blocking it. Right now, not letting them in is helping us, but they want to have that buffer class because their numbers are dwindling. Now I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, again. So the first thing first, yes, the white population is aging and they're not replacing themselves at the rate that most other people are. Matter of fact, in Europe, they got the same phenomenon going on. So when you have that within any country, what do you have to do? You have to bring in immigrants to do what? Pay the taxes going forward, work the low-wage jobs at the bottom of the scale, and also, you want to continue as a nation. That's how a nation gets credit. The idea that a nation is going to be here 100 years from now. But this idea that you're going to say, okay, we're going to close up the borders and shut things down with a low birth rate and a low replacement rate, that's really not a plan for success. Matter of fact, you go to Germany, you see what they did bringing in all those Syrians. They didn't do it because they were being nice. They did it because they're old. And old people do what? They save. They don't spend. They actually constrict your economy. So when we're talking about this older baby boomer generation in America, the one you're talking about, and as far as replacement, they didn't get Kamala because they want to appeal to Indians. They got Kamala because she's a centrist. They didn't want Elizabeth Warren or Bernie or any of those other people who were talking about health care and things that cost money. They didn't want any of those people. So they got moderate Kamala, who went to an HBCU. So, of course, all the bourgeois black folks would be for her. So, yeah, that appealed to her. But, yeah, she's a prosecutor, hardline prosecutor. So she's more centrist and Democrat than the majority of black people actually are. Socially, black people think way differently than she does, but it's that Obama line, and she's falling in line with that. But ultimately, though, man, I think when we talk about these things, yes, criticize the hell out of the Democratic Party. Call them what they actually are. But don't make up stuff about the Republican Party. Like, that party is even worse. As terrible as the Dems are, the other party is even worse. And we cannot act like immigrants losing jobs at the bottom of the value chain is where we want black folks to be. Like, no. We got extremely high underemployed people with degrees who are working at jobs that don't pay out nowhere near what they're actually worth supposedly on the open market. And we have people who are working, part-time and a full-time job and trying to make ends meet. But when you go to, let's say, whatever local resource center you have in your area, you'll see what? That black poverty that's actually there. The people who are working 40 hours a week but going to food pantries or, seeking assistance of some type. So this myth that the Trump years were good for black people, I mean, that's insane. Like, unless you are, like, the median black wealth is what, 43 grand? Like, and I know you guys read a lot of ADOS stuff, so I know you know about, the stuff that some of these brothers have talked about for years. So I definitely, get your concern in saying, look, if the Dems are not going to put anything of substance on the table, some people are going to say, we're not voting. And I understand. I agree with that. No problem. They just don't prop up the other side. That's
No. We're not propping up the other side. We're showing you what is happening because the media does not show what the actual truth is. It'd be different if they were sitting up and showing you everything, but the whole thing is to make this dude a one-term president. Now, we've had racist presidents before. You know what W.E.B. Du Bois did? You know what Martin Luther King did? You know what any of the A. Phillip Randolph did? They went and they discussed and they sat there and they discussed and made plans with these people. They didn't just shut off. We as American blacks have forgotten what has gotten us here. And we are so afraid that we're worried about what Trump is going to do or what he's not going to do. We have had racist presidents before. And Biden getting in there is one who actually put us in the predicament as Generation X. He put us in the predicament that we're in. Starting with Ronald Reagan, and then him under Bush 1, and then him under Clinton, passing these laws that put us in, that strip the black
community. Who was calling for those laws to be passed?
Okay, wait.
These were right-wing tough on crime laws that the centrist Bill Clinton bended over and took. Why? Because they wanted to win the suburbs. The same way you see Joe Biden right now trying to appeal to the suburbs. It's the same thing.
Okay,
now,
so if it's the
when
same
we put backlog on it and we try to present it like Biden is this, uniquely person who hates black people, it's like, nah, it's like this with Trump, period. Trump has a white base, and a good portion of them hate black people. So you cannot get policy from him. So when I hear black conservatives talk to me about that, I always say, okay, well, why not take policy from him? He's got Mitch McConnell there. They could rubber stamp it and run it through, and the Dems would have to sign on it because then they would be the ones appeasing.
That's not see again, that is not true. That is not true, my brother. That is not true. We just saw that with Tim Scott's anti-choke bill. That the Justice Act that the Dems scuttled in the Senate, then they passed theirs in the House. But the way government is supposed to work is Senate passes one, House passes one, then they're supposed to merge the two bills together, put the money in, and then it goes back to the House, and the House puts the money behind it. That's how government is supposed to work, and so that is not true. Exactly. That is so. What I'm saying is what you just said. Wait a minute now. What you just said. But no, we're not changing the subject. No, we're not arguing.
The bill that gave more to police budgets, not decreased them, didn't change anything as far as what we would see as far as penalties, as far as getting rid of this whole.
No, wait a minute now. They said, no, wait a minute. Now, we watched that. See, we watched it very close because, wait a minute. We can look it up right now because of the fact that they said they were willing to give the Democrats as many amendments as they wanted in the bill. This was Tim Scott, a black man. I don't care if he's Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. They said they were willing to give the Democrats as many amendments on the bill because they wanted to get it done. And once the Democrats, because Cory Booker was for it before he was against it, and then he left Tim Scott out there hanging. What happened to brotherhood? Like, pass the bill, and then pass the bill and argue it out. Pass the bill and argue it out. That's what I say. That's what they're supposed to be over there to do.
Okay. Let's say a huge portion of the Republican base depends on not only being really conservative to the police, but presenting the police in a certain way. Are we that naive to think that Tim Scott was pushing for this bill that was really going to change the issue at heart, which the other side bill actually did when it addressed budgets, when it addressed immunity, when it addressed the idea that these people could not be prosecuted? Like, those are real things. The Tim Scott bill had no teeth.
The Democrat bill is only on the federal level, not the state, though.
Right.
I mean, have we been researching? The Democrat bill is only, the House bill is only on the federal level, but not the state level. That's where old boy got killed, on the state level, right? In a city, in a municipality. That's where he got. That's where most of us get killed, on the state level, not the federal level.
Tim Scott's bill was presented in bad faith. It had no teeth.
Well, that's why. Okay, right. That's why
not do that. But McConnell has done that for years.
Okay, right. But the Democrats had teeth. All I'm saying to you, brother, because we're getting ready to wrap up. We got 47 seconds left. This is a robust discussion. I know this is a robust.
Because I haven't seen the show, but I hear people talking about it, so I want to see what y'all say about it.
Okay. So no. I'm still talking to you though. So what I'm saying to you is that yeah. I'm still talking to you because we got a few seconds left before we sign off. Tim Scott has black nieces, black nephews. He has black relatives. He's gone through it. So I don't think that it was necessarily in bad faith, but the Democrats were supposed.
So does Barack Obama, man.
But Barack Obama is Kenyan. But
you getting pulled in.
No. All I know is Barack Obama don't come from the lineage, but we got to go, my brother. It was a robust conversation with you.
Yeah,
I
thank you for
appreciate
calling
you. You haven't changed my mind, and obviously I haven't changed yours. But one thing is for sure: you voting as in if you voted someplace else, you would do that. But people voting independent, go ahead and vote independent. And like other people are gonna vote down ballot, and Trump will be back in there. We're gonna see how this plays out. We got to see, because I'm tired of I'm tired of the people pushing fear to us when we're the strongest people on the planet. So yeah, we want to see what Trump is gonna do.
I'm tired of people pushing confusion to us to vote for a party who does not have our best interests at all. Matter of fact,
Neither
from not having our best
neither party,
Georgia,
I understand that. Neither party does. They were Dixiecrats before they were Republicans. We'll talk. All right, people. So that was robust. I like that. So people, look.
That was a good conversation.
Yeah, that was a good conversation.
I think the disconnect across the board is when you present right agendas to people. This is the agenda that we need to be taken to. Let's go with the Republican Party, right? Or the Democrat Party. Okay, so we say the Republican Party, they're not going to listen. That's fine. Cool. But the Democrat Party still needs to be held accountable. Just because we're showing you both sides, because believe you me, on MSNBC, like the Cass book, the author that wrote that, we saw her on 2 shows. She gave an interview on what's the guy's name that come on after Rachel? We saw her on that show.
Yeah.
The attorney,
Lawrence.
Lawrence. We saw her on Lawrence show.
Lawrence.
And she was on the other guy's show on MSNBC. So we watch everybody because that's what you have to do. You can't just stick to going along with what one party says. You have to listen to both. You have to extrapolate from both. This is what we want. So yeah, we need to show you what the Republicans are saying that they're going to do for Americans. We need to show you this is what the Democrats said that they're going to do, their agenda. We're going to show you both agendas. Right? Because we don't have an agenda. Right?
We just want to put the facts
So it's very
across.
important to put the facts across and not just cape for a group of people who have historically they haven't did anything, they're not doing anything today for Black Americans. You have to want something more than just complacency. You have to get off this damn hamster wheel. Nobody's saying vote for Trump, but you need to take apart what he's saying and he's going to do. And every time, because I'm getting lots of phone calls. So every time someone calls you from the Democratic Party, asks you, are you going to vote for Biden? Are you going to vote, are you going to vote for him? This is what we want. Well, see, no, I can tell them, well, this is what Trump said he's doing. So what are you guys going to do? Are you going to do this as well? You need to know how to play the game. Because if you don't know how to play the game, they playing chess. You can't keep playing checkers. So if you completely shut yourself down, that's what you were saying about our forefathers. They sat at the table with everybody. We wouldn't be here today if they did not. Stop letting them just turn your mind off and just listen to one group. You can't play the game unless you know the rules. You got to know the rules to play the game. You have to read you have to know you can't just sit down at the table and try to play a game. You need to know. You have to listen to both sides. So, I mean, it's time to wake up. It is time to wake up and stop being a puppet.
And stop being fearful.
Stop being fearful. So you have to, nobody's saying vote Republican. We're not Republican, but we're going to tell you what they're saying so people won't be walking around blindly. Because if you're walking around just listening to 2 TV stations, liberal, without listening to what they're saying on the Republican side, or if you're not reading, and if social media is your only source of news, and you're not reading articles from various periodicals, then, I mean, you're going to be lost.
You're going to be lost.
You're going to be lost. Like, people, we have to get beyond ourselves, right?
That's right.
We have to move beyond ourselves and think about the next generation. Think about your children, right?
And
if you
their
don't have children, think about your nieces and your nephews and great-great-great-grandchildren. It's not about us. We need to get over this shit about us. It's about the kids. So if Martin Luther King was good enough to sit down at the table with both parties to push an agenda for his people, who the hell are we not to be able to do the same? We're so much better? Oh no, Martin was wrong. What he did was stupid. What we're gonna do, we're gonna be smarter than Martin. We're just gonna sit with one group. We don't need to sit down with the Republicans and see what they're gonna do. We're just gonna stick with one group. Because what Martin did was stupid. That's what they're saying to me. What they're saying to me is Martin Luther King's views and how he went about pushing the civil rights movement. They're saying what he did, it was just stupid, basically, because they don't want to emulate what he's doing.
Okay, wait a minute now. That's an interesting.
They don't want to emulate what he's doing.
That's interesting because
if you are truly for your people, you're gonna sit down with everybody.
Because wait a minute now. Because Martin Luther King was a Republican.
Okay.
Because the Republican Party, since Lincoln,
right,
blacks voted Republican once they got the right to vote. They voted Republican. Right. Because the Dixiecrats were the ones that were the party of the lynching and the KKK.
Right.
And the the white Citizens Council.
Right.
Right? So when Martin Luther King was talking about, hey, look what the once Dixiecrats are doing under, I got John F. Kennedy's ear. John F. Kennedy gets assassinated.
Right.
He still had Johnson's ear.
Right.
And Johnson says, show me something so I can get this and pass this through.
Right.
This was the party that was lynching you. So that's what makes the brothers' assertions wrong. Because the Dixiecrats were the party that was lynching blacks in the South. And Martin Luther King was working with Democrats.
Martin Luther King was a brilliant man. Martin Luther King was a brilliant man, right? So...
And the people don't know because they don't know enough history to know that blacks were voting Republican. Then when the civil rights came up, the Dixiecrats said we would never take, the Democrat Party would never take the South again, and they switched over to the Republicans.
Right.
Now you're looking at a person who has not only stopped that and opened up jobs, right? Now people can say their job, but when you get a higher wage because you're going to demand a higher wage, it doesn't matter who was doing the job before. It's a factory job.
No,
right?
See,
wait.
Okay,
that's one thing. And then two, the HBCUs are funded.
Right.
They don't have to come. Obama didn't do it.
Right.
Right? You know, he's reducing the incarceration. See, people want to talk one thing, but they don't want to talk the other. Right. People are coming home. Who did that? We're talking about, this is white supremacy.
Right.
And you're looking at, do you know, which we got to get into Lovecraft here. We're going to go extended tonight because I took that phone call and was so robust, but we're going to extend tonight.
Yeah, that was a really good phone call.
Yeah, that was a really good phone call because, you know, you have to go like this to get like this. So, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. The brother's still my brother. He may not think that. But however, he's still my brother because,
sometimes, it's good to talk to each other because then you can open up each other's minds.
That's right.
Because as the job situation go, I have friends who are in HR and they're not the techs in HR. I'm talking to you about directors. I'm talking about how shit is being moved around. So when people sit up here and they talk about the lower wage jobs but then I know of black people, right, who, I mean, they worked in the people who've been maintenance, right, who you would see they would come in at night while everybody's leaving, they'll come in, or either they're there when you're working late in the office, and black people. You can't tell me that these black people who some people consider jobs nobody wants don't want that job to feed their family.
And on top of
A
that,
job is a job. In the end, it doesn't matter if it's considered a lower wage job, some minimum wage and upper wage or whatever. Because I'm telling you, the game is, let's say white collar, let's say upper middle class, right? They're interviewing two people. They're going to go with the one that said they'll take $10,000 less just because they want the job. It don't matter that you get the master's degree. It don't matter that you had a PhD. They're going to go with the one who's so happy to get here in this country, right? Whether illegal or not. Believe it or not, there's a lot of illegal people carrying higher up jobs. Right? It's a lot of. So, I mean, these people, they just do not know. They just do not know.
The thing about this is that we're sitting in a situation where, do you know that real racist people, really racist people, your money don't spend, you're a beast, you're less than human,
right? And
that's why they're bringing in immigrants. People can be on that party system. I saw a brother talking party system. He was still talking that party system.
It's not about the party.
We're talking American black loyalty.
Always American black.
What is good for American blacks? Martin Luther King did that. I'm sure there were people saying he's trading on going with the Dixies.
Why did he sit down and talk to them?
Why did he sit down and talk to them? We had our civil rights going with the Repubs, who wasn't going to make a move because it favors. So we're in a system of white supremacy, which brings us to Lovecraft, right? Okay. Many blacks are running to Kamula because many don't know American black foremothers. We've been telling you about the foremothers, right? Which brings us to our review of the show, which is Lovecraft Country, right? It's a sci-fi novel by Matt Ruff, right? I hope that's right. I'll get when I get to the next page, because this writing is atrocious. But anyway, and how it pertains to Biden-Harris, right? First, who was Hp Lovecraft? That's this dude right here. You see, I got him real small, right? Who was Hp Lovecraft? And this tells you, because as you go into the story, they're taking you into Lovecraft Country. And so to understand what Lovecraft Country is in this sci-fi situation that's on HBO, right? You have to understand who Hp Lovecraft was. And believe me, the Hp Lovecraft mentality is a mentality of a white supremacist as we break this down, as the information dictates. And this is what real white supremacy is. Right? Howard Phillip Lovecraft, August 20th, 1890. He was born August 20th. Ain't that something? He died March 15, 1937. He was only 47 years old. Terminal cancer of the small intestine, right? He grew up in New England. He was a short storyteller, novelist, poet, essayist, and editor. He had a predetermined negative view of American blacks, much like the people in the place he grew up. New England, Boston. Yeah. His personal writings, essays, and through allegory referring to non-human races, his journalism and letters, he argued for a strong color line to preserve race and culture, as he described blacks as not human but beasts in an early 1912 poem on the creation of okay? It's okay? Right? So he describes this and he lays this out, and that is also referenced in the show. Right? In this first episode that we were able to watch, because it just started. This is a through line, people. This is a through line. Why the Dixiecrats run to first a black whose mother was Caucasian, born of an immigrant relationship. Now they run to a child of immigrants, but don't recognize the ability and the aptitude of American blacks to ascend to the highest office in the land is the through line written in many of Lovecraft's works. Now remember what's the title of the show? How Lovecraft Country on HBO is like Biden-Harris for us, for like the U.S., right?
The mind of a racist.
That's right. So we're getting ready to move into Lovecraft Country, people, and most people don't even know that we're getting ready to move into it because they're not paying attention. And it's a problem. It's a problem. If you're still talking party politics and not talking American black politics, ADOS politics, foundational black American politics, everybody that has melanin and has coarse hair and looks like you is not you, because some have taken on and become the invasion of the black body snatchers. And I'm very, if you don't know that, I'm very disappointed in you for not knowing it.
I think what it is what other groups do. I mean, I think some black people, you have to realize that there are different experiences for different black people throughout the United States. Because, like, I'll talk to my cousins who are in another state, right? And they'll, up north or in the south or south, and they'll have, like, different experiences, and we'll talk about the movements, like in jobs or neighborhoods and what's going on. So when you talk to different black people from different areas, the ones that's woke, that's seeing what's actually going on, you notice the movements and stuff. Like the movements that we have seen, as well as, like I said, talk to people, know people who are making decisions, or really don't. I mean, even though they the director, the person that's over the director is the one that's really making decisions. But anyway, when you see things, the way things are moving in your, where you live in your region, right? And you let other people know how things are moving, and then you talk to a friend or a relative that's in another part of the country, you have to put the pieces together. When I was little, my mother always told me this: never think you know everything. Be open to listen and learn. Read, communicate, talk to other people, see what's going on. That's what what was the book called? Was it called The Green Book?
Yeah,
they created
to make sure that they could travel
and black people,
the South safely.
Right. So black people had to communicate with each other to let everybody know, well, this is the temperature in this area. Right. Mm-hmm. So for some people who may not even get that, I'm not talking about the temperature, 100 degrees temperature. I'm talking about, when I say temperature, I mean environment.
That's right.
Because I'm learning you have to break stuff down. Right.
I mean, there's so many metaphors in Lovecraft Country, show on HBO, right?
Yeah,
and they even talk about the Green Book.
Right.
The Green Book is in there.
Yeah, in episode 1, right?
And what they show you is, this is a spoiler, but what they show you is there was a place that was supposed to be a safe place to dine.
Right.
And
that's
and the metaphor that they told between that and the White House, when the White House was burnt down for the first time, and why it was painted white.
Right.
And people's businesses were being burnt out and but that's another story. People, you are not ready. If you are if you are sitting up and discussing, if you are sitting up and still talking party politics like you are actually in the party and not talking about American black concerns and what policies work for you at what time, then I don't know what to say. We as American blacks falling for another non-ADOS is us accepting the American Caucasians' critique of us and being willing participants in our own destruction. We're willing participants in our own destruction, because they're saying that they will never, they're saying this, they would rather have people who may not be loyal. We talked about that with Confession of a Nazi Spy when we reviewed that. You can hear that review right on the Film Review Life channel.
Right.
We're breaking up the different movie reviews so that you can hear them separately outside of what we talk about when we talk about the politics. When you listen to that, you get to see that they were willing to have Germans come in, and they would rather fight that than to have people who would have been loyal to being those factory jobs. They created unions so they could keep black people out. Do you understand what this is?
Yeah, like some people don't even know that. Well, some people do, but a lot of people don't know that they brought in a lot of Germans.
That's right.
Into America.
So
gave them jobs, homes.
So they wouldn't have to give the original artisans and the ones who worked with their hands that built the country those jobs. Let's go through the cast of Lovecraft Country by Matt. The storyline, the book is by Matt Wolf. Lovecraft Country, developed, reimagined, and adapted by this guy right here, Jordan Peele. Go ahead. Cast.
Okay, starring. They have a nice setup. Normally, it's not set up like this. Okay, Jonathan Majors, who's a really good actor. You know him recently from Spike Lee's The Five Bloods.
Five Blood.
Okay,
he
so
plays
Jonathan
Atticus
Freeman.
That's right.
And then Journey Smollett, she plays Letitia Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney B. Vance plays George Freeman. Michael Kenneth Williams plays Montrose Freeman. We know him from The Wire. Abby Lee, she plays Christina Brathwaite. A lot of these characters will be on episode 2, right?
Yeah, they're going to introduce.
Yeah. Anjua Ellis, who's a great actress, she plays Hippolyta Freeman. And Ruby Baptiste, that character is played by Waname Mosako. Mm-hmm. And Jada Harris plays the character Diana Freeman.
And that's the child.
Yes.
That's the child, right? Okay, so listen, people. The synopsis, right? A man returns from the Korean War.
Right.
His name is Atticus. He returns home after receiving a mysterious letter from his father. Once he finds his father is missing, he, his uncle, and a childhood friend set off to find his father in Lovecraft Country. Matt Ruff, the author, ties the threads of Hp Lovecraft's bigotry with the reality of the Jim Crow South of the 1950s, depicting the experiences of an American black science fiction fan, Atticus, right? As the producers, including Jordan Peele, bring the twists and turns of the Lovecraft Country to HBO, as the protagonists enter in Lovecraft Country, we see where American blacks are headed, seemingly unable to stop or control our fate due to our vote for Biden-Harris, to make our country alien to us, making the illegal alien above us, to put us in our place once again, right? So this is what Lovecraft Country is showing you, right? So as Jordan Peele puts in the twists and turns of Lovecraft Country, as the protagonist experience this, his adaptation, he brings it to life and it's gripping. You're on the edge of your seat for the whole hour and some minutes of the show. We see where American blacks are headed, seemingly unable to stop or control our fate due to our vote for Biden-Harris, to make our country alien to us. So what does that mean, people? To make our country alien to us. We are allowing, through our vote, it's right there on the website. They're telling you on the website what they're going to do. They're bringing in immigrants. Matter of fact, the brother just said it so eloquently himself. Yeah. They come in because their numbers are dwindling. When in actuality, why are you worried about bringing somebody else in when there's plenty of people already here who can do it?
Right.
That's white supremacy, right?
Yeah.
Making the illegal alien above us to put us in our place once again.
I don't think people get that. I mean, some people do, but I don't think people are. You know, let me rewind and go back. So when we were talking about the when they brought the Germans in, right? The Germans they brought in, these are the ones who terrorized the Jewish people during the Holocaust, right? So these aren't just Jewish people they brought in. They intentionally brought in the bad ones, the ones who terrorized Jewish people.
Why did they bring them in? Because they were the scientists and they wanted to beat Russia to the moon.
They purposely brought in the not so nice people.
They brought in the Nazis. Let's be clear.
The evil people.
And
they brought in the evil people.
Right? And they worked at Nassau. So when you see at the end of Hidden Figures.
As well as police departments, remember?
When you see at the end of Hidden Figures, we tie it all together on the film. When you see at the end of Hidden Figures when not Viola Davis. Not Viola Davis.
Was it Taraj?
No. At the end, the one that was good in the IBM computers, her name, she took what's her name's place as far as acting. Yeah. But anyway, Octavia Spencer.
Right.
When you see her character and the white women are walking in, those are German women, people.
Yeah.
Making sure that they take over, learn what she knows so that she will be obsolete and she'll be out the door.
Right.
Or when you see in the civil rights photos, when you see German shepherds biting at black people who are fighting to be free. Right. Those are Germans.
Yeah. The cops they sent over from Mississippi
they were people,
to California.
People. What I like about Jordan Peele's adaptation of Matt Ruff's Lovecraft Country is the self-determination of the characters.
Right.
The character development, right, of Atticus, right, and his two companions on the road, right. That's a 10. The storyline through line, automatically, that's a 10. Cinematography, that's a 10.
Right.
CGI, special effects, 10.
Right.
Wardrobe of the time period, which was a mix between the 1930s to the 1950s, right? That's a 10. Recreation, set design, cars of the time. Again, seeing cars between 1930 into the 1950s. Beautifully done, that's a 10. Action, fighting scenes, 10.
Yep.
The creation of the bloodsuckers. When you see the bloodsuckers, people, that is a major metaphor of once they got deep into Lovecraft Country.
Right. The hair and makeup. Well, you said clothing and stuff.
That's right. But when you get deep into Lovecraft Country, people, and you meet the bloodsuckers.
Oh yeah.
You find out that you see what we're talking about, and as you watch it, you'll see what we're saying. They're not necessarily gone after yet. The bloodsuckers go after another group of people. Then they're coming after. So when you're looking at it, well, just watch it. You'll see what we're saying. Great, right? Yeah. The historical references to the sundown towns.
Right.
That's a 10. Right?
Who was that? We was talking to somebody and they didn't believe that sundown towns existed. You remember? And we were, I forget who we were on the phone with. And this person didn't believe, and we had to explain, sundown towns did exist.
That's right. Sundown towns did exist. People, do you want that?
Still to this day. I mean, I'm hearing that there's certain areas.
I mean, the party loyalty is not working because just like Ice Cube said in his presentation that came out a couple of days ago, we played only a piece of it. Mm-hmm. He says that there's over 47,000 black businesses that are going to close.
Right.
Where's the bailout for the
Right.
47,000 black businesses that are going to close?
Right.
Where's that bailout? They always seem to leave behind.
Right. That's all we saying. It's just like you have to hold people's feet to the fire. I mean, make your vote count.
Make your vote count.
You have to say, okay, well, this is what he said on this side. So what are you going to bring to us?
Don't be afraid.
I mean, you know, just.
Why are you afraid?
Right. I mean,
there's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Right.
Right? The acting chops of the actors, the way that the characters arc, and the ability of the actors to emote on screen.
Oh, yeah, great acting.
The storytelling with the images that they use, the size images that they use, the lighting that they use, that's all a 10. The suspense, make you jump.
Yeah, you will.
10. The music, 10.
Yeah.
Everything about Lovecraft Country is a 10. And why would you want to watch something that has to do, that was written, that has to do with taking the mind, this guy right here, Matt Ruff, took the mind of this guy, Hp Lovecraft, created a book called Lovecraft Country, where it used the protagonist that dealt with going to Lovecraft Country as an American black adaptation by this guy right here, Jordan Peele. Why would we want to watch Lovecraft? Because of the fact that, one, nothing has ever stopped us from enjoying what we enjoyed, and we moved past that, right? And we're out to write and leave messages in film. This film, when you break these episodes down, the first one came out, but I'm sure as you break these episodes down, they're just like John Singleton's Snowfall.
Yeah.
They're intelligent.
Yeah.
They're well written.
And a sense of community.
And the purpose of it is to show you, to give you a message about what's going on today, right?
You know, we thought as we were watching it, we just knew it was like, what, at least 2 hours.
Yes, that's how it was. It wasn't.
They got a lot of information.
You got a lot of information in within that time period.
It was like an hour and 8 minutes or 10 minutes or something, but it felt like it was 2 hours.
Right. So people, you know, starting on episode 125, a couple of weeks back, and then 126, we've been showing you, you know, American black foremothers, right? And we talked about Fannie Lou Hamer.
Right.
And Fannie Lou Hamer sums this up so well that we're going to close with this before we close out, right? So Fannie Lou Hamer is very interesting.
Right.
She was sterilized. Right? They sterilized her, right? When she was just a teenager. They sterilized her, right? So this is early stuff. This is eugenics stuff.
Right.
Right? And why did they do eugenics? Again, because they thought that people weren't worthy, or they weren't intelligent, and so they wanted to do it. Meanwhile, Margaret Sanger, who instituted this, she had 2 kids that were mentally challenged, but she was projecting that what she had birthed onto black people. But here's Fannie Lou Hamer, and you know, she sums this up pretty good. So we're going to listen to this right now. Here we go.
Flag is drenched with our blood, because you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man, as we know this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand that. They know what they've done to us. all across this country.
I feel her. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just.
All across this country.
Can't settle. You have to fight. You have to say what you want. And if you want my vote, you better sit down at the table and give us what we want.
You better start cha-chinging. You better start making that register
policy,
ring.
Something. Stop
right
taking
here.
it for granted. People
All
go in the towel too easy.
Lovecraft Country. And this is what we're headed to.
A lot of people sacrifice their lives
just
so people could be comfortable and complicit. Give me a fucking break. Seriously.
So people, that's Lovecraft Country. Make sure you watch it. You know how it was made. I mean, who it was made from.
Right.
The mind of.
Right.
Reinterpolated, brought into a science fiction book.
Right.
Jordan Peele does an excellent job with this. The actors do an excellent job with this.
Yeah, they
This
do.
is worth watching on HBO.
It's so believable that they are in that time period.
They're in that time period, and these supernatural science fiction type situations are happening.
Right.
It's totally believable.
And
it's
they
meshed
dealing with
together.
racism.
That's right. So people,
Believable.
this has been another great episode of the Film Review Extended Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast. We are the husband and wife team, and we have dropped so much information. You got to go back in and listen to every little bit, to decipher and get the information out. We had a robust phone call.
Right.
And
that was a great phone call.
We enjoy reading your comments today. So, again, I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society on the Film Review TFR Podcast Live. Make sure that you all you have to do is just go to TFR Podcast Live, hashtag TFR Podcast Live, and Google search, and everything comes up. You can watch everything, the Film Review, and we will see you next time on the Film Review. I love this show.
Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stanis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.